Right, hello everybody. It's me, Chris Brooks, as you know, LSB Film Productions here on YouTube, Rumble and Odyssey. With me is the brilliant Geoff Mealing, who is going to talk to us about the sexualised sweets that that they've been campaigning to get off the shelf. Here is the great Geoff Mealing to tell us all about it.
Well, first of all, how I come across these, or how it was first brought to my attention, was the brilliant, I'm going to plug out Cat Watkins. Cat Watkins is she's a Welsh lady, along with Kimberly and all their team. They've done so much with the campaign against all the the harm that our children face in society for the past 10 to 15 years. They've been doing so much work, even over in Wales, in the courts and what have you. But she done a post what we're on, so a week back, a week and a half back, if you like. And she mentioned about these Candy Kittens. Someone had sent them to her. Now, when she did the post, we looked at it and thought, blimey, what's all that about? But I never really, because it was on the back of our outreach in London. So when I heard all this, I was concentrating on the stuff that we'd done and sharing bits and pieces of stuff that we'd done in London and what have you on that. So I never really checked so much the Tesco stores about this, because obviously this, as some people might not be aware, is the Candy Kittens teamed up. It's Jamie Lang's Candy Kittens, which he's got other flavours on the shelf, but this one is the Netflix. He teamed up with Netflix Sex Education, which
is a series, yeah.
A series, yeah. There's 4 series. The last one went out a month ago, and even in the trailers, it's quite sexually explicit. But then it's an 18, so it would be. But in these packets, you've got the normal. I don't know whether you can see it closer. The Candy Kitten sweets, which all the others are similar to this. But then you've got the ones that are shaped like a condom. Here you see, as if you were getting out of a packet. So this was the concern. But not only that, it had some writing on the back. It's got a picture of condom there, had some writing on the back, which I shall read out. It says, "Sweet and sex, they go hand in hand, obviously. After all, they both are made to make you feel good, right?" So this is what's on the back, and it mentions there that it's teamed up with a Netflix hit show, Sex Education, which celebrates sex, the fun times, the awkward times, and the downright dirty times. And then it says no judgment needed. So there you see the stuff that it's aimed at, and this was on the children's shelves in a lot of the stores, and in one of the Tesco stores that I went. So
just the random sweet
around, yeah, that's right, and the random sweet aisle with all the Haribos and all the other bits and pieces. So I took it upon myself into one of the Tesco stores to take the box down. I think they had 4. I bought the 4 packets in the end because I didn't want them on the shelf. But I took them down, and I actually addressed a note to the actual general manager. So I was hoping at the time that I could speak to the general manager, but I got they don't call them deputies now, but it's their second in their senior team, to speak to her, and she was very good. She took me into the office, and I explained about these sweets, and explained about the sexualisation and what they're trying to do, and the fact these sweets were in an area where children would pick them up, rather than in an area where it's probably more aimed at adults, which these probably should have been with the maybe condoms, vibrators section, that kind of thing. But she listened intently. She understood. She read the back of it, and like I say, on here it shows a picture of a condom as well. So she did all that, took all the notes down that I said, and I said about handing this in, because I got her to actually read my note, what I said for the manager first, to put in a picture rather than me explaining, and then she went into saying about different things at school as well. She actually mentioned, I'm talking about sex education, so I filled her in on that, and she actually mentioned about the gender ideology, about someone she knows, that her friend's children, a boy and a girl, had both transitioned the other way to girl and a boy. So, and the heartache and that the family had gone through with that, I did question that. Surely it's up to the mums and dads to be able to sort of stop this, and so it's very difficult to be able to do that at times, you know what I mean? Which I kind of understood that. So the bottom line is, she said she'd have a word with the general manager and one of the directors and what have you, and she'll pass it on to the Tesco general manager, which they did. He emailed me later in the day saying that he's seen my note and everything and all this information, and that what he'll do, he's passed everything on, I think, to 3 different departments. This general manager passed them on to, and basically then he said, but I moved them up to the top shelf. So my reply back to that was, well, thank you. I said, thank you for, getting back to me and that, but I wasn't happy with the fact that he said he put them on the top shelf, because if you have someone as a friend and they have a tall friend, you can still get the sweets, let alone the mums and dads will just pick them randomly, not even think, you know what I mean? Because let's face it, I mean, they're packaged exactly the same. They've got the same barcode as the wild strawberry, which these ones are. So why would you think they're any different in a sense?
Well, it's a fine line between them either being extremely ignorant and overlooking, or them being extremely sly and cunning.
Yeah.
So which is it? Yeah. Because it's, well, like you say, it's clearly aimed for adults, but it's on an area where the sweets are.
Yeah, exactly.
And good old Zach and his Roy and they've been going.
Yes, they've been going in as well.
They
have as well. So exactly what they've done well on that. Yeah. But no, I think you're right what you said, because I did say to the manager, I think they cleverly have put them in there, knowing full well that children would pick them up. Because the reference I actually made to, before I get onto when I spoke to the general manager, the reference I actually made to the deputy, if you like, is that kids will eat these. Now, this is a condom shape, and it's simulating that's on your genitalia, if you like, for want of a better word, of being too rude. So the kids are going to be eating that, you know what I mean? So it's that kind of, you know what I mean?
Subconscious.
Subconscious, programming. That's right,
type.
yeah. So I got the email back, and I said I wasn't happy with the fact that he put them on the top shelf, but I said I respected the fact that he got back to me, and he said he'd inform me, which he did. And then someone sent me, for short of looking at it on my phone, but someone sent me a picture of a sweet shop in the Castle Mall in Norwich, and in there on the display, right by the till, it looked like, 'cause I think there was one of the scan card things that you do with your debit card, and it had all these different sweets on there, Cola Willies. It had another one that said suck a bag full of dicks and different things, you know what I mean? Now, it's all well and good. Sex shop, fine, and Summers, fine, that kind of thing, but or
just an adult section compartment within the shop.
Exactly. And admittedly, once I saw this, I posted this out rather quick, because a couple of people did say, where, is it really, is it that, you know what I mean? And someone did get back to me. They had checked it out in this sweet shop in the Castle Mall, and the area that it wasn't there. So it looks like it had been removed, you know what I mean? So, which is good.
Or sold out.
Yeah, or sold out. Well, there is that, yeah. There is that. So, So consequently, what I'd done, I then sent that to this general manager again, explaining if things don't get picked up, as in these Candy Kitten sweets and others, we're liable to, and if Tesco decide they want to put them out in their stores, which one, it means they're agreeing to the sexualisation of kids, but two, it'll just flood other shops and stores with other products, you know what I mean? They'll sneak them in, you know what I mean? So that was the worry, and that's what I said to him. And it's at that point I said to him, could we have a proper chat and speak on a professional level rather than just me bombarding him with emails?
Yeah.
And I did say the last two he hadn't got back to me, so I would have continued until I got But luck would have it, on the Tuesday, I happened to be up, and he emailed me about 6 o'clock in the morning, and said he was going to be popping into the store. So I made myself available, had a good chat with the guy. It was really good, he really listened. So that was the great thing about it. I sat there, and what I'm going to do is just explain a little bit about the whole idea, the whole thing about sexualisation of kids. So in the schools, as we know, 3 to 4 years above, they're trying to sexualise our kids. They're trying to talk about sex, penetrative sex, oral sex, anal sex, masturbation, and all that kind of thing. That's what's going on at a very young age in schools, which is not acceptable.
Otherwise known as grooming.
It's massively grooming, isn't it? Because it's getting them prepared. And if, as we know...
It's just normalising it.
Certain
words.
Yeah, that's right. And if, children go missing as we know each
Is
year.
it something like 100,000?
It's 230,000. 230,000 in the UK, 600,000 nationwide.
Yes,
and kids don't just disappear. So if they're armed and equipped sexually with knowledge, it makes it easier for the paedophiles because they've already been groomed, and the paedophiles won't even have to groom them that much more if they're kind of on a similar wavelength, you know what I mean? So as well as that, we've got the gender ideology, so we've got that as well, the LGBTQ movement. Just to add as well, the gay community aren't happy being tagged on to the LGBTQ plus movement. We've done several outreaches, Aaron and I with our other team, obviously with Chris as well, and Bob and Donna and Mandy and all the rest of the team. And some of the people from the gay community spoke to us and are really pleased at what we're pushing out, but they're not happy being tagged in because the actual movement itself, which people don't realise,
it was just gay, lesbian, gay
bisexual, queer,
because they are sexual preferences, aren't they?
That's
They're
right.
not ideologies.
No,
that's just which way you swing.
That's right. Yeah.
And even if I'm right in thinking, the original founder of the LGBTQ want to claim it back.
Yeah, kind of thing. Yeah, that's right. That is it. And again, we know that movement, whether people realise it or not. The LGBTQ plus movement generally is a paedophile movement, and that's what it is, But just to brief people how things got the way they are, just to talk about it, the sex education was brought into the schools from the 1940s onward by a guy called Alfred Kinsey. Now, he was a sexologist, a biologist, a professor, but he was also a paedophile. And he believed that children were sexual from birth, from the cradle to the grave, and that true happiness was sexual perversions and experiments on children. But he was proved fraudulent because what he'd done, he took all his information from child molesters, sex offenders, from prisons instead of the everyday American, and he'd done vast amounts of experiments with children and babies, some as 2 to 3 months old. And he wrote a book called Sexual Behaviour in the Human Male, which in there, the infamous Table 34 chart, which documents all the orgasms. They recorded all the orgasms from 2 to 3 months old up to 15 years, all these experiments. And it's absolutely shocking when you read it, because I've read it, and it's, how
did they even get away with that?
Well, they got away with it.
Is...
Well, exactly. But the reason they got away with it was because he worked for the CIA. So he was covered. He worked with the CIA, as did when he met Hugh Hefner, Playboy. He worked with the CIA as well. And if we go fast forward, Jeffrey Epstein today, he worked with the CIA as well. So he got away with lots. But just getting back to Alfred Kinsey, he'd done all these experiments, got away with it. Academia loved him. Hollywood loved him because they made a film called Kinsey. Liam Neeson was in it, 2002. You can still see it now. It's out and about there. And it got into the public schools, and this is where we are now. Because one of the things he did want to try and push, there probably is like it now, is they're trying to get rid of the Christian values. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
So
it's part of the New World Order.
Exactly. It? So along with whatever he's done, and like I say, he worked for the CIA, so he got away with everything. Teamed up with Hugh Hefner, they pushed the pornography angle again. It's that, and look at it now with the kids' phones and everyone's. You know what I mean? With it's all added into the sexualization of the kids to normalize everything. I explained to the Tesco manager or general manager, explained to the Tesco manager about Alfred Kinsey, and I also spoke to him about how the gender ideology got into society as well, and that was through a man called John Money in the 60s. Now, John Money, he was a professor, he was a psychologist at Johns Hopkins University, and he believed that children were gender neutral at birth. So bear in mind, Alfred Kinsey believed that children were sexual at birth. John Money believed that children were gender neutral at birth, and that the environment would dictate whether you're a boy or a girl. So if you decided one day, what you're doing, the way you're behaving, I fancy being a girl, you could change, and then vice versa. If you were a girl, you fancy being a boy, you could. And but again, he'd done all these experiments for 10 years on twin boys, the Reimer twins, 8 months old. There was a young couple who had these twins. They're only 18. And what happened was Bruce and Brian were up for circumcision. Bruce went up first. The machine because normally they used to do it with a knife, but they were doing it with a machine with this one, and it was a faulty bit of kit they had, and it burnt Bruce's genitalia off. Parents were distraught, didn't know what to do. You know what I mean? But they'd seen some things on John Money, and so they contacted him. John Money, being the way he was and the way he wanted to get gender ideology into society, he took this on board, and he persuaded them to transition Bruce into a girl called Brenda, which is what they did. And but from that point on, the experiments, and because again John Money was a paedophile, the experiments that he did on the two young lads from that age, and he recorded it for 10 years, was just horrific. He was getting them to simulate sex acts on each other and that kind of thing, which was just awful. And it proved too much for both of them. Proved too much for Bruce, who was transitioned as Brenda, because he had the male tendency to stick up for his brother when he'd get picked on, and he would show the male tendencies and that. And he wasn't happy. He was just unhappy and completely withdrawn and that. And it was at that point that his parents decided to tell him exactly what had gone on. And then they transitioned Bruce, or as he was as Brenda, back into a boy called David.
So that makes me, well, it does make me laugh, but the fact that he didn't go back to Bruce.
Yeah.
They chose a completely
different name. Yeah.
And also, I'd be interested to know. You said that they circumcised Bruce first.
Yeah.
So after they done that, did they then have the guts to circumcise?
Well, this is it. Yeah.
Brother?
Yeah.
Because you would have thought if that happened the first time, there's no way you're touching him.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I just wondered whether.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. I have to look into that, but yeah. So they transitioned back into a boy called David. Now David spoke out a lot on various different shows and with people, and that he was even on the Oprah Winfrey Show, which you can Google that and you can still see that.
I'll try and see if I can find it.
And he was on there with his mum. I mean, he loved his mum and dad dearly, you know. I mean, and he understood where they were coming from, and they were only 18 at the time, so it was very young, didn't know what to do, and thought they had a lifeline through John Money, which obviously they didn't. So, but yeah, the torment and the heartache that had gone on with them, the deep scars, you know, they couldn't deal with the pair of them. And his brother, Brian, he committed suicide. And David, sadly, he took a... No, sorry, I got that wrong. Brian took an overdose, and sadly, David committed suicide. He took a gun.
Oh, they both died?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't realise they both died.
Yeah, he took a gun to his head. So yeah, so a sad ending. But it was at that point John Money never redacted anything, never apologised, and it went into mainstream psychology. And here we are today with this LGBTQ plus movement and everyone, the transgenderism, you know, and there's gender neutral, gender binary, cisgender, transgender, whatever, and it's all.
Isn't there something like 100 and...
There is loads, yeah.
It's
you know, it is ridiculous. You know,
what kind of world are we living in, people?
Exactly. And this is what, and again, this was what I explained to the Tesco general manager that I saw, just to get him an idea of how the sex education and the gender ideology was brought into society or into this world, and hence they're sexualizing the kids 3 to 4 years and above, teaching them all about sex, teaching them all about this kind of movement, LGBTQ plus movement, and it's everywhere, isn't it? It's in the books, a lot of books, 2 books from Warstones, Let's Talk About Sex, and I can't remember what the other one was now, but one of the books they sold in Warstone, they
something
changed.
About consent.
Yeah, it's all about in the book. It's all about it's just 2. Let's talk about sex, and it's perfectly normal. That's what it was. It's perfectly normal. It's perfectly normal one was in the Waterstones, and I went in one of the ones in Norwich, and I think they may have had complaints about it because they said no, that one's no longer it. So, and I bought it online, but the one they had in was Let's Talk About Sex. So when I got them back together, they were exactly the same book, but they just changed the name. So, yeah, so it's the same. But in the books, I mean, there's lots of books about, but in these 2 books, it's the same. It's got pictures which are cartoon, but they're graphic in the sense, you know, exposing your bodies and obviously, you know, because they're teaching you how to masturbate and have sex and changing sex. And in the book, it says about children are sexual at birth and things like that, and talks about anal sex, oral sex. So it's graphic, but it's in cartoon pictures, but it's just awful.
How do these books differentiate from what they're teaching in school? Because not all schools are teaching this, are they?
I think some of the schools are at different levels of teaching. I think it is in there, but I think some schools, obviously, I mean, like Aaron's school, they were teaching his son. He was only 11. Aaron leaves, one of our good lads fighting the cause of the kids. And,
so that would be high school, not primary.
He was in primary. He was 11, so that's primary.
Because 11, they go up to.
Yeah, he was on the last year of the primary 11. You know what I mean?
Right.
So yeah, so they were teaching them all about masturbation and sex and all that. So which Aaron challenged the school about it. So, but they are teaching kids younger than that these things as well. But I think certain schools, I think it's in all schools, but I think it's in certain schools where they're probably forcing more on them than others. You know what I mean? So
because I know, like my daughter, she's 11, and she's in her last year.
Yeah.
But she hasn't had any.
Yeah.
And I have been asking them to look in the libraries.
Yeah.
Just for books.
Yeah, well, that's good. That's good. But the thing about it as well, what they're doing as well in a lot of the schools, again, because it's obviously probably not every school, but certainly a lot of schools, is that they don't just do the sex education class. They teach you in drama, in English, obviously the sex education, in the religious education. They still do that. So it's put in other subjects just to filter it through. You know what I mean? So yeah, I explained all this to the general manager at Tesco's, which he listened. He took everything on board. He even explained about the PBC, because as we know, we call it the Paedophile Corporation, because it housed the likes of Jimmy Savile, Rolf Harris, Gary Glitter, and the information coming back over the years is that they knew. Sorry? Hugh Edwards as well, yeah. But not only that, when you go to the BBC, for those who don't know, Philip Schofield, yeah,
it goes on,
yeah, it does. The list goes on. But if you go to the BBC, there's a big statue right next to the BBC studios, and it's of a man holding a naked
Gill.
child. Yeah. This man, Eric Gill, which he said he sculpted this statue, and he was a paedophile because he raped and abused his 2 daughters and his sister
and
a dog. Yeah. So it just shows you how much all this paedophilia, sexualization has been thrust into the,
how deep rooted it is.
It is, because you're not only that, you've got the rape of children. It was only 2% ever went to trial. 2%, and that's nothing. And now, if you think 2 weeks ago, what came out on the news? The likes of rapists, paedophiles, and they mentioned burglars as well, but are no longer going to go to prison because the prisons are overcrowded. So what does that tell you? Another message to say, right, plus
Philly boots,
yeah, it does. Plus you've got child trafficking, which is a $1 billion operation, and millions of kids get trafficked. It's 8 million or so each year, and it's a colossal amount of people. We can go deeper in. You got the organ harvesting, as well as they do it with adults as well. Their organs. Some people have said they've gone under operation. Next minute they've got a kidney missing or something. But they do that with the kids. You got the satanical ritual abuse, which Jeanette Archer has done fantastic things on, because she was abused as a child,
I have
a survivor.
Seen a video. I couldn't watch all of it because that just screws my head.
Yeah.
But I have seen a video where they had kids chained in chained up,
yeah.
Cave.
Yeah.
Or something.
Yeah, that's what she was, and some of the things I thought. Yeah, she was. But they get them as well on I mean, obviously, it goes on throughout the year, but the things like Easter, Christmas, and especially Halloween, that's when the big rituals go on, and some of the stuff I've read and been sent and seen other bits, but some where they put them on the slabs and they do all this torturing them and getting the blood, and they have the other kids watching them, and that kind of thing. Yeah, it ties in with the adrenochrome, which is obviously the blood, which
the adrenaline.
Yeah, the fight and flight, isn't it? The adrenaline. And someone I remember seeing something on a video on the social media platforms, and this old sheriff, he retired, and he said someone explained adrenochrome, sort of an analogy, a best way to describe it. He said in China, when they boil the dogs alive and they're screaming and shouting, and because they're obviously in pain, and it's that fright and that, and it makes the meat taste richer, You know what I mean? So hence the kids, when they're all, you see them all with the panda eyes, that they've been abused that much and scared that they drain the blood from them and drink the blood. And obviously they sell it to all the rich and famous celebrities, you know what I mean? And you can see how young that some of them look. And I know some go under the knife, but others that you can see that perhaps haven't had the main kind of under the knife surgeries, you can see how they look. And it's just torturous and just harrowing.
Yeah, pass me those sweets.
Yeah.
So tell us about you've got an outreach coming.
Yeah.
Another outreach in London coming, haven't you?
Yeah.
So do tell us about that.
Yeah, the outreach, and what we're trying to do, because we had a great outreach on the 28th of October, that was in London, outside the BBC studios. So we're going to leave Christmas, or we may do smaller outreaches regional, because of everyone, family and stuff and all that Christmas. But we've got one in 25th of November, which is a Saturday at 12 p.m, and we're going to start at Marble Arch. So it's another outreach to expose the sexualisation, the harm, rape, abuse, torture, murder of our children that's going on daily, probably hourly, but in all walks of life, all around the world. And we're hoping to get even more numbers, because the great thing about this with the Candy Kittens, what it proved, because there must have been, I see footage, you see footage, and there must have been thousands of people who complained, and in order for it to get removed completely off the shelves, store-wide, must have been a lot of people. So it just shows if the people unite as one, we can do things, we can make things happen, and that's what we're trying to push as well. And
also, just a message to you guys out there, if next time you are in Tesco, Sainsbury's, or any of the other stores, just have a look down the confectionery aisle and just see if you can see them. And if you do, if you've got the kahunas to do it, complain and voice your concerns, because the more people do it, the more likely, like Geoff said, you're going to get higher numbers. Your voice is going to get much more louder than like trying to fight singular.
Yeah, that's right. And we're hoping that the book, because obviously some of the people that went out we knew. Laura and Linda does some great posts. Terry did, Kevin Charles, and others. But there was a lot of people that we didn't know, because obviously you're not connected to everyone on your Facebook or social media platforms, and so it was great. So it'd be great if those people that are doing stuff, because I imagine the ones that are speaking out like that must be doing something in their community at a local level. So it'd be great if they could turn up to our outreach in Marble Arch, because we're looking at starting at Marble Arch. We'll either go to Disney or Balenciaga. We're going to go at Warstones. So, because we didn't catch that last time when we were in London, and then we're going to finish up at the BBC. So that's kind of the angle we're looking at. There's going to be the U3 are coming there, the music there, the people that Aaron knows, and hopefully Remiz will be there and others. So it'll be a great turnout. But all this information, like I say, that I explained to the general manager of the Tesco store that I went, and he listened, and I spoke everything. I even said to him, how would he like if I suddenly, he came in with his kids, and if I had these sweets or other sweets, cock willies and stuff, and if I gave them to your daughter, you'd look at me and think, there's something wrong with it, you know what I mean? So he understood that, and so he said to me he'll be in touch when he hears anything. And Friday morning, I'd just been down the gym, had a great session, and got the email which he said that we called them on an EPW, which is an electronic product withdrawal. So they were all being taken off the shelves in all the stores, and I emailed back and I said, you definitely sure it's all the stores, and is it likely to return? He said it's all the Tesco stores, and it's unlikely to return due to the nature of the business. So I think with that in mind, people are still doing the Morrisons as the Sainsbury's. I've got a feeling, I'm pretty sure that all the others will follow suit, because they usually do, whenever someone's got something out. And I think Tesco have probably done really well on that, in fairness, to add a little bit of praise, even though they shouldn't really have stocked it. They should have. There's 135,000 products that come in, so they can't monitor everything. And so, but obviously someone must have known, maybe the buyout or someone.
Okayed initially.
Yeah. So, I forgot, I lost train of thought what I was going to say there, but so anyway, he said it wasn't going to return. Oh, well, yeah, I said, I think it probably follows suit the other. Tesco did well in the fact that they stopped it first and foremost. And a little bit of plus points on that note, but generally speaking, it should have been.
At least they've kind of set a benchmark.
They've set a benchmark. That's it. Yeah, and hopefully then others will follow. But just be mindful of that. You know, do check any Tesco store, Morrison's, Sainsbury's, corner shops, whatever, because they may still have them in by someone who perhaps didn't realise. I mean, ideally they shouldn't get them in if they've closed it off. You might get a few stray orders come in. You know what I mean? That have already been. But just check, because you never know, there might be other products that they sell. Because people are posting other products that you know, from other little shops and stuff. You know, so. But
do let us know if, like I say, if you do see these or any other kind of sweets, contact me at lsb productions123@gmail.com. I will pass on any information that you've got, and perhaps we can apply some pressure there. But I think that's a good place to leave it.
Yes.
So yeah, thanks for watching if you've made it this far.
Yep.
And please share the video, get the word out there, and
stop the sexualisation of our kids.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Nice one, Geoff.
Good. Thank you very much for having me. Yep. Good to see you.
See you guys later.
Yeah.
Bye.
Take care. Bye.